The Galactic Unified Species Council occupied the most unnecessarily grandiose structure in the known universe, a fact that perfectly matched the organization's bloated sense of self-importance. Constructed from crystalline materials that changed color based on the emotional resonance of those inside, currently a smug shade of teal, the council chamber resembled what might happen if bureaucracy mated with an overzealous disco ball. The chamber buzzed with the peculiar sounds of 17 different species trying to talk over each other. A cacophony of clicks, whistles, gurgles, and what could only be described as the auditory equivalent of interpretive dance. The council prided itself on being the pinnacle of interspecies cooperation, which apparently meant agreeing to disagree on everything while pretending they'd reached a consensus. Seated at a desk clearly designed for a being with a very different anatomical configuration was the human ambassador. The chair, if one could call it that, had been crafted for a species with 3 buttocks and a prehensile tail. Watching the ambassador attempt to find a comfortable position had become a spectator sport among certain council members. The representative from Earth will adjust to standard council seating arrangements or submit Form GC 1138B for special accommodations, droned Senior Administrator Enxtharax, an entity composed primarily of sentient gas who had developed a bureaucratic density approaching that of a neutron star. The human ambassador smiled that peculiar human smile that didn't show teeth, a gesture the council had initially interpreted as a threat but had come to understand was the opposite. How backward the council species had thought, hiding your weapons when trying to appear friendly? Preposterous. Thank you for your consideration, Senior Administrator. I find these accommodations perfectly adequate, replied the ambassador, despite having visibly lost feeling in at least one limb. A telepathic ripple of amusement circulated among the Voxeth collective, a hive mind that occupied the eastern quadrant of the chamber. They found humans endlessly entertaining, like a clever pet that had learned to use the toilet. The council had invited humanity to join their ranks 16 standard months ago after Earth's development of viable faster-than-light travel, elevating humans from mostly harmless to potentially useful. Several council species still maintained private wagers on how quickly humanity would accidentally obliterate itself. We shall now address item 347B on today's agenda, announced Premier Zorlandar, a massive arachnoid being whose 17 eyes blinked in asynchronous patterns rumored to encode subliminal messages. The Premier had evolved from ambush predators and still froze completely still before making sudden, startling movements. The human colony on Proxima Centauri 4 has submitted a petition regarding border security. Again, sighed Ambassador V. Rix, representative of the Murtalic Confederacy, his species resembling overgrown mole rats with advanced fashion sense. This is the 3rd petition this quarter. The human ambassador's expression didn't change, but those paying close attention might have noticed a slight tightening around the eyes. We appreciate the Council's patience with our concerns. As newcomers to galactic society, we're still adapting to interspecies norms regarding territorial boundaries. What the ambassador didn't say, but what every being in the chamber knew, was that the Drekthar Commonwealth had been conducting cultural survey expeditions that regularly crossed into human territory, resulting in the disappearance of resources and occasionally research equipment. Perhaps, suggested the Drekthar representative, whose name contained a sound humans couldn't pronounce, the Earth colonies should invest in better tracking systems. Our cultural expeditions are clearly marked in accordance with Council Regulation G 7779-3, Subsection D. The human ambassador nodded pleasantly. We've studied those regulations extensively. Fascinating document. Our reading suggested that advanced notice is required for cross-border expeditions, which we haven't been receiving. Notifications were sent, insisted the Drekthar, sensory tentacles writhing in what might have been indignation or indigestion. Perhaps they were lost in transmission, offered the human with that same pleasant expression. The Drekthar Commonwealth does not lose transmissions. Our communication systems are the most advanced in 3 sectors. Of course, agreed the human. I meant no offense. Perhaps our receivers need calibration to better accommodate your superior technology. Several council members exchanged glances. This was the human diplomatic approach, delivering an accusation packaged as a compliment so polished you could see your reflection in it. Premier Zorlandar's mandibles clicked irritably. The matter of notification protocols will be referred to the Subcommittee on Communication Standards, moving to item 347C. And that was how most human concerns were handled, referred to a subcommittee, which would establish a task force, which would commission a study, which would recommend an exploratory committee. As the session dragged on, a junior attaché approached the human ambassador and handed over a data tablet. The ambassador's expression remained unchanged, but their fingers tightened almost imperceptibly on the device's edge. The attaché whispered something, and the ambassador nodded once before returning attention to the proceedings. Which brings us to the matter of defensive installations, Premier Zorlandar was saying. The Council has received intelligence that unauthorized military hardware has been deployed in the Proxima Centauri system. The ambassador's attention sharpened. I believe there must be some mistake. All Earth defensive systems have been registered with the Council Security Oversight Committee as required. Ambassador V. Rixen snorted, whiskers vibrating dramatically. Our scans detected energy signatures consistent with Zenthar Class Z weapons platforms. Such armaments exceed the allowance for a probationary council member by approximately 320%. The human's expression remained neutral. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with that classification. Our defensive installations are scaled to protect civilian populations from raiders and natural hazards, per Article 7 of the Membership Charter. Raiders? The Drekthar's voice modulator nearly shorted out. Are you implying that established council races engage in raiding activities? The humans spread their hands in conciliation. Not at all. I'm simply clarifying the purpose of our security measures. The safety of our civilians is paramount. Yet these measures appear capable of vaporizing small moons, noted Ambassador Trileth of the photosynthetic Concord, whose chlorophyll-based biochemistry gave them a perpetually judgmental green glow. The human tilted their head. Perhaps your scans detected our mining equipment. Some of our resource extraction technology produces unusual signatures. A ripple of what might have been laughter or a seizure passed through the Voxeth collective. Their speaker unit activated. The human employs heavy mining equipment capable of planetary defense. Efficient dual purposing. We approve. Premier Zorlandar's mandibles clicked in exasperation. The classification of human technology will be referred to the Technology Assessment Board. Next item, trade route allocations in the Orion Spur. The human ambassador made a note on their tablet, maintaining that neutral expression that had become the subject of xenopsychological analysis. The prevailing theory was that humans evolved this expression for diplomacy, revealing nothing while appearing engaged. What most council species failed to understand was that human diplomacy was forged in millennia of dealing with other humans, arguably the most unpredictable species in the galaxy. Smile pleasantly while calculating 20 ways to respond to betrayal. Standard Earth diplomatic training. As the session dragged into its fifth hour, the human ambassador remained the only representative who hadn't requested a biological function break, leading to theories ranging from extraordinary bladder control to a collection device, a theory no one wished to investigate. We now address Emergency Action Item 42, submitted by the Exploratory Division, announced Premier Zorlindar. Anomalous readings have been detected near the human colony on Proxima Centauri 4. The division seeks Council authorization to dispatch an investigative team. The human ambassador straightened almost imperceptibly. What kind of anomalous readings, if I may ask? Subspace distortions consistent with potential drive failures or experimental FTL testing, replied the division representative, a being composed of undulating mathematical equations given physical form. Our concern is that such distortions could affect navigation in adjacent sectors. I appreciate the division's diligence, said the human. However, given that these readings are within Earth territory, perhaps it would be more efficient if we investigated ourselves and reported our findings. The division representative's equations rearranged into a snort. With respect, Earth sensory technology is 7 generations behind Council standard. You would likely miss crucial data points. 7 generations. The human's eyebrows rose slightly. Our assessment indicated a gap of only 2 generations. Perhaps we could benefit from a technology exchange program. The Council does not exchange technology with probationary members, interjected Ambassador V. Rickson, as outlined in Section 159 of the Membership Charter. Of course, agreed the human pleasantly. Then perhaps a joint investigation would serve both interests. Our personnel are already in the vicinity and could escort your team. Premier Zorlindar's mandibles clicked. The Exploratory Division operates independently to ensure unbiased observations. The Council will vote on authorizing an immediate expedition. The voting process was a marvel of inefficiency, involving 17 different mechanisms, telepathic votes, appendage gestures, and one species voting by changing the molecular structure of the air. The human ambassador watched with precision, their eyes tracking each vote. Motion carried, announced Zorlindar eventually. The Exploratory Division will dispatch vessels immediately. The human delegation will be copied on all findings. Thank you, said the human. Will the expedition include security personnel? Our surveys indicated unusual debris patterns that might pose navigational hazards. The division's vessels are equipped with standard defensive capabilities, replied the representative dismissively. We've navigated far more dangerous regions. The human nodded agreeably, then glanced at their tablet as another message arrived. For a fraction of a second, something flickered across their face, missed by most species. Premier, the ambassador said, given the potential importance of these readings, would it be possible to prioritize this expedition? Our colony administrators have reported communications disruptions that may be related. Ambassador Trileth's chlorophyll flared with suspicion. Communications disruptions were not mentioned in the initial report. We've only just received this information, explained the human, gesturing to their tablet. It seems the disruptions began approximately 3 standard hours ago. 3 hours is hardly cause for alarm, noted the Drekthar representative. Subspace communications frequently experience temporary disturbances. Of course, agreed the human. I merely thought it might be relevant for the exploratory division to consider. Premier Zorlandar's mandibles clicked decisively. The expedition will proceed according to standard protocols. Now we must address item 348, the petition from the aquatic conglomerate regarding methane harvesting rights in the Gamma sector. As the council moved on, the human ambassador sent a brief message on their tablet. To most, they appeared to be taking notes on methane regulations. No one noticed the slight tension in their shoulders or the almost imperceptible tapping of one finger, a human gesture of impatience uncatalogued in xenobehavioral databases. Behind that pleasant expression, calculations were being made that would have alarmed the council. The session continued for 3 hours, during which the ambassador received 7 more messages. Each time the diplomatic mask remained, though someone familiar with humans might have noticed tightening muscles around the eyes and mouth, minor details lost on species who considered humans anatomically simplistic. As the council adjourned, the ambassador exchanged pleasantries, maintaining perfect poise. None noticed their brief conversation with a human attaché in a corner, nor the attaché's widened eyes before hurrying away. Humans were still novel curiosities in galactic politics, their pleasantness taken as evidence of harmlessness and lack of savvy. It would be 14 standard hours before the council discovered how catastrophically wrong that assessment was. The council chamber glowed an anxious amber when the emergency session convened the next morning. The human ambassador arrived punctually, face a pleasant mask despite the tension. We have received alarming reports from the Exploratory Division expedition to Proxima Centauri 4, announced Premier Zorlandar, 17 eyes blinking in distress. A previously unidentified entity of enormous proportions has been detected orbiting the human colony world. All attention turned to the human, who nodded courteously. We detected it 30 hours ago and submitted an emergency communication through the appropriate channels. The Voxeth Collective confirmed. Human communication received, reclassified 14 times. Final destination, hypothetical xenobiological categorization archive. I see, replied the human, eyebrows slightly arched. We'll adjust our emergency syntax to better match council parameters in the future. Their tablet flashed with an urgent message. Premier, our sensors have detected energy fluctuations from the entity, the human said. The pattern suggests weapons charging. Speculation, dismissed the Drekthar representative. Your primitive sensors are likely misinterpreting routine energy cycling. The human didn't argue, instead sharing tactical analysis data showing the entity's potential weapons placements highlighted in pools in red. This analysis is based on incomplete data and human military assumptions, scoffed the division representative. An urgent transmission interrupted, showing live feed from the lead exploratory vessel. The entity's hull reconfigured, revealing ominous energy-pooling apertures. Division Vessel Alpha to Council, came a strained voice. Entity is exhibiting probable hostile intent. Request immediate. A blinding beam lanced out and the vessel vanished. Chaos erupted. The human ambassador remained seated, knuckles white around their tablet. Your colony is in immediate danger, stated Premier Zorlandar after restoring order. The Council will convene an emergency response committee to determine action within 72 standard hours. The human's expression faltered. 72 hours? Our colony of 300,000 civilians may not have 72 hours. The Council cannot act precipitously, insisted Ambassador V. Rickson. Another alert chimed. The human's face flashed something cold. The entity has launched smaller craft toward our main colony domes. The ambassador stood, an unprecedented breach of protocol. I formally request immediate authorization for our colony to engage its full defensive capabilities. Such authorization requires a 12-hour deliberation, explained Ambassador Trileth. The human's tablet emitted a shrill alert. They checked it, and their posture changed fundamentally. We've just lost contact with Colony Dome 3, population 76,000, primarily civilian researchers and families. This is most unfortunate, began the Premier. I don't want your condolences, interrupted the human. I want authorization for our defense forces to engage without restrictions. That is not how the Council operates, Zorlindar said. People are dying, the human stated flatly, displaying the colony's live feed. Security evacuating civilians, medical teams treating injured, defensive systems firing with limited effect. I am invoking Article 157 of the Membership Charter, the human announced, voice carrying unexpected authority. In cases of imminent existential threat, defensive action may be taken without prior Council authorization. Another alert sounded. Colony Dome 5 has been breached. Estimated casualties 20,000. The Council noticed the transformation. Dilated pupils, flushed skin, combat-ready posture. I've received authorization from Earth Command, the humans said, tapping their tablet. Effective immediately, I am declaring that the diplomatic phase of this encounter has concluded. What does that mean? Asked Premier Zorlindar cautiously. The human looked up, bearing little resemblance to the patient diplomat. It means that humanity's polite mode has just been turned off. The chamber fell silent as the ambassador tapped rapidly. Communications officer, patch me through to Defense Command. Authorization code, Thermopylae. A hidden subroutine bypassed the Council's systems. Defense Command, this is Ambassador. Confirm receipt. Receipt confirmed, Ambassador. Delta Protocol is active, awaiting instructions. Ambassador Trileth's chlorophyll pulsed in alarm. What is Delta Protocol? This wasn't in Earth's military capability disclosure. The human's focus was cold, predatory. Delta Protocol isn't standard. It's what happens when diplomatic channels fail and Earth's citizens are dying. The Council has not authorized military action beyond Category 3 defensive measures, protested Zorlindar. I'm not asking for authorization anymore, the human replied. Defense Command, execute Delta Protocol Phase 1, authorization, Verdun. The chamber display showed space around Proxima Centauri 4. Space rippled as 6 vessels phased into existence. Spectre-class response vessels, the human explained. Phase-cloaked, they've been in system since we established the colony. Impossible, declared the division representative. That's rather the point of phase-cloaking technology. The vessels formed a hexagonal pattern around the entity, firing synchronized energy beams connecting at precise points on its hull. The attacking craft tumbled harmlessly into the atmosphere, burning up like meteors. That's a Zenari isolation field, whispered a weapons expert, but more advanced than anything We developed it independently 70 Earth years ago, the human replied. Your version is somewhat outdated. After receiving casualty reports, nearly 30,000 dead, the human's expression hardened. Initiate Phase 2, authorization, Hiroshima. The vessels adjusted their beams to a different frequency. The entity convulsed as data streams appeared. "You're hacking it?" asked a technological directorate representative. "We're learning everything about it," corrected the human. Intelligence revealed the entity was an autonomous harvesting unit, with 17 similar units en route in 48 hours. Without hesitation, the human ordered, "Initiate Phase 3, Authorization Nagasaki." The vessels created a distortion field, compressing the entity into a subspace pocket, shifting it out of the dimensional plane. "Neutralized," the human explained to the stunned council. The ambassador tapped their tablet, activating every chamber display to show military deployment patterns throughout council space. "These are Earth defense assets already in position. Phase-cloaked vessels, automated defense platforms, rapid response units, all deployed within the first month of our probationary membership." Gasps rippled through the chamber. "This is an outrageous violation of sovereignty," spat Ambassador V. Rickson. "This is an insurance policy," corrected the human. "One that, as of 10 minutes ago, has proven entirely necessary." The human stood in the chamber's center. "For 16 months, we've played by your rules, filled out your forms, endured your dismissals. Today has proven what our security analysts suspected. The Council is incapable of rapid response to existential threats." After a 1-hour recess, the Council reconvened. Premier Zorlandar announced, "The Council will authorize a coordinated defensive response utilizing all available resources, including Earth's previously undisclosed capabilities." 3 Council members volunteered to sponsor Earth's proposal for emergency protocol reform. The Photosynthetic Concord, the Voxeth Collective, and the Myrtalic Confederacy. As Earth vessels moved alongside Council ships, Ambassador Trileth noted quietly, "Your authorization codes reference devastating conflicts from your history." The human nodded. "A reminder that humanity has known war intimately. We want peace, but when peace fails." "When peace fails," Trileth completed, "humanity's polite mode turns off. The galaxy will remember this day." The human smiled, not the diplomatic mask, but something predatory. "That's rather the point." 3 standard days after the Proxima incident, the council chamber glowed an uncertain blue-green, matching the mood of relief, weariness, and reassessment. The human ambassador entered punctually, reverting to their polite demeanor, so complete that some wondered if they'd imagined the commanding presence from days prior. They hadn't. "The Council acknowledges the human representative," announced Premier Zorlandar, mandibles clicking cautiously. "We extend gratitude for Earth's decisive action in neutralizing the 17 harvester entities." "Earth is pleased to have been of service," the human said, voice modulated with courtesy. But no one was fooled. They'd seen the predator beneath. "After-action reports have been distributed," continued the Premier. "The coordination between Earth and Council forces was unprecedented." Unspoken, Council forces had scrambled to keep up with the humans' mathematical precision. "Cooperation benefits everyone," remarked the human mildly, as if discussing trade rather than a military operation that redefined galactic dynamics. Ambassador V. Rickson cleared his throat nervously. "The Council has reviewed Earth's proposal regarding emergency response protocols." The word proposal carried emphasis. Everyone knew it was demands backed by revealed capabilities. "We welcome the Council's feedback," said the human, folding their hands. Zorlandar's mandibles clicked rapidly. "The Central Committee has voted to implement the core recommendations immediately." An emergency response fleet will be established, capable of deployment within 1 standard hour of threat identification. The human nodded. Earth will contribute vessels and personnel proportionate to our status. Unspoken, Earth's contribution would include technologies most council races thought theoretical. Ambassador Trileth's chlorophyll pulsed with amusement. The Subcommittee on Military Disclosure reviewed Earth's complete technological capability report, submitted yesterday. The 12,000-page report revealed humans possessed capabilities prominent races claimed were impossible, developed in isolation. "We trust the report addressed transparency concerns," said the human pleasantly. V. Rickson's whiskers twitched. It raised more questions than it answered. "We'd be happy to clarify," offered the human with impeccable courtesy. The Drekthar representative spoke. "The report indicates humans have been monitoring our cultural survey expeditions for months without formal protests. We believe in thorough documentation before making accusations," replied the human, smile not reaching their eyes. The Drekthar's tentacles curled in embarrassment. "The Commonwealth apologizes for any misunderstandings. We propose a joint commission to establish clearer boundary recognitions." Translation: the Drekthar realized humans knew about their resource theft and were scrambling to make amends before politeness became optional again. "Earth welcomes this approach," said the human graciously. Premier Zorlandar steered to safer territory. "Reconstruction at Proxima Centauri 4 has begun. Several council races have offered assistance." "We are deeply grateful," said the human, genuine emotion breaking through. "The survivors will remember this solidarity." Unspoken, they'd also remember who didn't help. The session addressed routine matters with unusual efficiency. Proposals normally sent to subcommittees were voted on immediately. Issues typically tabled received decisive action. The council had realized bureaucratic delay could carry costs. As the session concluded, the human exchanged pleasantries. Ambassador Trileth fell into step beside them. "Your kind has resumed polite mode convincingly," they observed. The human's expression softened. "Politeness is our preferred mode. It's simply not our only one." "The council won't forget that lesson," noted Trileth. 3 subcommittees have been disbanded as redundant, and the emergency protocol was approved in 1 session, a process that would take 17 cycles. "Necessity is a powerful motivator," said the human. "Fear is even more powerful," replied Trileth astutely. The human stopped, facing the ambassador. "Is that what you believe, that Earth is ruling through fear?" Triplet's chlorophyll pulsed. "Not ruling, reminding. You've reminded the council that beyond procedures lies a universe that doesn't wait for committee approval. Decisiveness can mean life or death." The human nodded. "If fear of what humans might do encourages decisive action to protect all species, I won't apologize. Earth desires peaceful cooperation, with the capacity for devastating action if it fails." "Yes," acknowledged Triplet. "That's who you are. You extend friendship first, but you're prepared if that hand is bitten." Triplet offered a formal gesture of respect, typically reserved for longer-standing members. "The galaxy has become more dangerous with humanity's true nature revealed, and paradoxically safer for the same reason." The human smiled genuinely, revealing the complex being behind the mask. "Ambassador Triplet, that's precisely the point of turning polite back on after showing what happens when it turns off. The most effective deterrent is the one you rarely use." As the human departed, the chamber's walls shifted to a deep, respectful purple. The age of underestimating humanity had ended, not with conquest, but with a demonstration that politeness was a choice, not a limitation. Throughout council space, bureaucrats processed paperwork with unprecedented speed.